Welcome back to CAISTROLOGY, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be doing your June 2021 horoscopes. Wow, June is a huge month astrologically speaking, guys. We've got a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini, followed closely by the astrological event of the year, and that is the Saturn in Aquarius retro square Uranus in Taurus transit. And to top it off, we've got Mercury retrograde for the first 3 weeks of the month. If you didn't catch my May horoscopes, I strongly suggest that you watch the last few minutes of those, because I will discuss the Mercury retrograde transit for your sign at length. I won't be going over it again this month. If you want to skip the rest of this intro, go right ahead. I've got a timestamp in the description box below. But for the rest of you who are sticking around, just a note on which horoscope to watch. Your ascendant horoscope, otherwise known as your rising sign horoscope, will be the most accurate for you overall. By all means, go ahead and watch your sun and moon horoscopes as well. Your sun will pertain more to your career and your long-term goals, whereas your moon horoscope will be more about your home life, your living circumstances, and your emotional world. So without further ado, let's dive straight into the horoscopes. Hi Leo, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your June 2021 horoscope. The month starts off with Mars in Cancer in your 12th house, opposing Pluto in Capricorn in your 6th house. This is a pretty tense and anxiety-provoking transit, so I'm sorry to start off your horoscope with this one. Nonetheless, the 6th house represents anything which is out of balance in our life. It also rules over our health and well-being, and the 12th house represents our subconscious self and also anything which we do which is self-sabotaging in nature. So on the 6th of June and a few days before and after, you may start feeling anxious, you may experience panic attacks or nights of sleepless nights, I should say, or disturbances, waking up in the middle of the night, not being able to get back to sleep, especially because we're in eclipse season as well, so that doesn't help. Some of you may realize that you feel pressure from your boss, which is represented by your 6th house, and this impact on your daily work shown by the 6th house is actually impacting you at a very deep psychological level. Oppositions usually involve another person who triggers us to implement some kind of change in our life, and it can also represent our emotional state, especially because the 12th house is how we are processing information and our emotions at a subconscious level. Mars in Cancer here is very uncomfortable, and Mars is quite weak in the sign of Cancer as it is. The 6th house and the 12th house actually represent our open enemies and our hidden enemies. And oppositions carry the energy of a full moon, which represents illumination and having an epiphany. So unfortunately, there may be someone in your life who is like family to you or an actual family member, and you may realize that they don't have your best interests at heart. Maybe they've been backstabbing you. Maybe they've said something about you or done something which has now been brought to your attention. And, in any case, this particular transit can just make you realize who is actually there for you and who you can trust, because Pluto represents the sharing of our deep, intimate secrets. So perhaps a secret that you've shared has been passed on, and this is now boomeranging back around to you. On a different note, you may understand how some of the daily habits which you have, always done or done for a long time have actually been leading you to self-sabotaging behavior. So now you have this conscious awareness of how you've been your own worst enemy, because this is another way that it can play out, where you realize that you've been acting against your own best interest, and it has been at an unconscious level. And lastly, you can realize how your escapist tendencies have been negatively impacting you on a physical level as well as a psychological level. On the 10th of June, there will be a new moon solar eclipse at 19 degrees Gemini, and it will be conjunct Mercury, which is retrograde at this time. Mercury is the ruler of the eclipse, so your 11th house, which is Gemini, will be strongly activated, and so will your second house, which is Virgo. This eclipse is squaring Neptune, which is in your 8th house. So let's just unpack this a little bit. Solar eclipses bring about events which are quite dramatic in nature, and they will usually occur 10 days before or 10 days after the eclipse. Well, within that time period, I should say. So between the start of June and around the 20th of June, there may be some kind of invitation from someone in your wider network or via the internet. You may be going into some kind of collaboration with an acquaintance or with a friend. Your social media platform could go viral at this time because the sun, which rules you, is the ruler of your first house, and the sun will always be involved in a new moon solar eclipse. So the second house, which is ruled by Mercury, represents your face. So your physical body, and especially your face, could reach large masses of people, which is represented by the 11th house. The 11th house represents social media. Mercury is also related to social media as well. And also, any online business that you're a part of or any social media platform that you're a part of, you can reach large audiences. So if that is your intention, great, because that is a very potential outcome with this transit. And also with this square to Neptune in Pisces, the reason that your social media platform goes viral could be connected to Neptunian topics such as spirituality, the occult, healing, filmography, videography, photography. It could also be connected to 8th house topics because Neptune is in the 8th house. So the 8th house would be the occult industry, finances, mutual resources with other people, or the financial handling of other people's money and assets. It could also be related to sex as well. So, let's just say if you're on OnlyFans, this is a time where you could go viral. This is a general reading, Leo, and I like to cover a really wide range of topics, so just bear with me. On a different note, this solar eclipse in your 11th house could see you start planning a large event, which could be involving music as represented by Neptune, could be money, it could be some kind of political party campaign, which is represented by the 11th house. Again, it could be connected to spirituality. So maybe you're organizing like a huge spiritual event, or it could be like an astrology event as well. Or you could have a new idea for some kind of marketplace or a large connected system without a center. So maybe you want to start a new app. Maybe you want to do some kind of market which is related to, or start some kind of market which is related to money as represented by your second house ruler being Mercury, or it could even be to do with food distribution. Moving along, on the 11th of June, we will see Mars entering your first house. So with Mars in Leo for about 7 weeks, you'll be super, super active. You'll have all this energy to get fit, get physical. Mars rules our sexual drive and our sexual energy, so you could be feeling way more sexually attractive over the next 7-ish weeks. And also Mars is the ruler of your 4th house, which is your home life, parents, parenting as well. So you could be putting a lot more energy towards your current living circumstances at home or your relationships with your parents. You could be trying hard to get pregnant. On a different note, with Mars ruling your 9th house, you could be putting a lot of energy towards your higher education, travel plans, and expanding your horizons, your philosophical knowledge, your spiritual knowledge, your religious knowledge, or just knowledge in general. But you will be using your physical body to try and expand your horizons further. Now, on the 15th of June, we will see the biggest astrological event of 2021 taking place, and that is the Saturn in Aquarius square to Uranus in Taurus. We first saw this transit back in mid-February, and this is the second hit of this transit, and the third and final hit will be around the 23rd, 24th of December, depending where you live in the world. So with this particular transit, what's different to the one that we had in February is that Saturn will actually be retrograde, which means that you will have to put in a lot more physical effort, and this transit will be more impactful than when we had it first up in February. So Saturn is in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships, and Uranus is in Taurus, which is in your 10th house of professional life, public visibility, and in general, your career. So we see a real focus on your relationships and your career with this transit. I'm going to go through a few different ways that this transit can play out for you. Just bear in mind that it's a general reading, so not all of this will pertain to you individually. If you are in a business partnership, you may feel like there's a tug of war or a clash in values and opinions between you and your business partner. With Saturn being retrograde, this will require you to make some kind of change or pivot in your strategy. You will definitely have to put in at least 3 times more effort into this business partnership, and you may need to make big changes in the relationship, because with Saturn being retrograde, it's showing you that you simply can't keep going on like this because it's just not working. And if you don't change something within this partnership, it's just going to disintegrate and fall apart. The nature of this transit will show you that this partnership isn't just impacting your business relationship with them, it's actually also having an effect on your public visibility and your professional life. So the changes that you need to implement will be motivated by how you appear in the public eye and who you want to be associated with. You may have to renegotiate or dramatically change the terms and conditions with this alliance or with this business partnership, and it won't be easy, and you may receive a lot of pushback from this particular partner. Now, if you are in a marriage or a long-term romantic relationship, your relationship may require you to both undergo some kind of counseling process or mediation process. Some of you Leos will go through a divorce or an ending of the romantic relationship of sorts, and it won't be for all of you. Again, this is a general reading, but Saturn rules your 6th house as well as your 7th house, and the 6th house represents divorce. Uranus can represent sudden separation and divorce as well. So this is something to keep an eye out for. If you really want to invest further in your relationship, you absolutely can, because this square between fixed signs represents investing further in order to maintain something. So again, the underpinning theme of this transit is that you will need to invest way more effort in order for you to get the desired result and the desired outcome. Now, lastly, with this transit, you may experience some kind of change in your existing contract with a company that you work for or an organization that you work for. That is represented by the 10th house. The 10th house represents companies or organizations with a hierarchical structure as well as authority figures. So they may try to implement or introduce something which is new, as shown by Uranus. And this will be into your contract or your agreement with them, which will impact your daily job as shown by Saturn ruling your 6th house, not just the 7th house. So just anticipate a bit of a tug of war or clashing with not just a one-on-one relationship, but with someone in upper level management. That's another way that this can play out for you. Now, on the 21st of June, Jupiter will station retrograde in Pisces, and this is in your 8th house. Jupiter has been transiting your 8th house for the last 5 weeks. So on this day or around this time, it's a real moment to pause and reflect on what you've learned over the last 5 weeks. And the 8th house, as well as the sign of Pisces and Jupiter, are all connected to healing. So you may have been working on healing some kind of deep psychological wound or trauma, or perhaps you've gained more knowledge and wisdom on matters, 8th house matters related to psychology, your inner psyche, anything to do with the occult, or even managing mutual resources with other people. On the 24th of June, Venus in Cancer in your 12th house will oppose Pluto in Capricorn in your 6th house. So with this particular transit, it is tricky because Venus represents your relationships and Pluto can show that there's been some kind of betrayal here. Again, the 6th house and the 12th house represent the open enemy and hidden enemy axes. So you may come to realize that there is a friend who's been backstabbing you, unfortunately. Again, it won't be for all of you. It's general reading. Nonetheless, Venus rules your 3rd house, which is friends, and Pluto represents jealousy. And we've also got Venus representing your 10th house, which is your career and your public visibility and your professional life. So your friends could be quite jealous of your career or even of your status, which is also represented by the 10th house. You could see the end of a relationship take place because Venus rules relationships and the 6th house represents divorce. Pluto shows our intimate partnerships, and both your 6th house and your 7th house are ruled by Saturn, and we've got Pluto being in Capricorn. So on some level, both the 6th house, which is divorce and discord and anything which is out of balance, and the 7th house, which is partnerships, being activated. So this end of a relationship could be with a boss, as shown by your 6th house, or with a business or a romantic partner, or even a close one-on-one friend. You could feel betrayed with something to do, it could be related to money, I should say. So Venus and Pluto both represent wealth and resources in some respect. So money and wealth are themes here. We've got status, which is represented by the 10th house, like I said. And for some of you, you may actually be betrayed by your partner, or discover that your partner has not been loyal to you. And Venus and Pluto rule love and sex respectively. So you could decide to actually end your relationship on account of finding out that your partner has not been faithful to you. It's not all doom and gloom. There is a positive way that this transit can manifest for you, Leo. You could have an epiphany regarding your money mindset because Venus rules your 3rd house. The 3rd house is your mentality. It's how you think. Venus rules money. And this could actually heal you psychologically because the 6th house represents anything which is out of balance, and the 12th house represents the subconscious. So this could be an epiphany regarding your scarcity mindset, or this feeling like you are undeserving of money and wealth and abundance. And this epiphany could allow you to heal this part of your life, and this can allow for abundance and prosperity to flow through to your career and your professional life because Venus rules your 10th house. So as a result of this realization, you could find that your career really prospers and benefits as a result. Lastly, for June 2021, we will see a full moon in Capricorn at 3 degrees, and this is in your 6th house. The moon will be sextiling Jupiter in your 8th house, while the sun will be trining Jupiter in your 8th house. So with full moons, it's all about something reaching a culmination point or its peak. And given that the sixth house rules your daily work, some of you may be leaving your job, which is exciting. And if this is the case for you as an individual, this will have a very positive and healing effect on you, as shown by this trine and this sextile to Jupiter in the 8th house. Now, it doesn't have to be you leaving your job. Perhaps there's some duty at work which you have to perform, which is quite draining and laborious in nature, and you could actually receive help from an individual, which is shown by this trine to your 8th house. Now, on a different note, this full moon in Capricorn can see some kind of health issue or ailment being cured. Again, this is shown by the healing energy of Jupiter in the 8th house. And on a material level, if you've been involved in a court case, this could be resolved or finished. And if you are involved with a case and the court case is going to take place around the 25th of June, or even a week before or 2 or so weeks later, I strongly suspect that you will win the case, or at the very least, there will be some kind of positive outcome for you. If you're not winning the case, it will be that the results of the case won't be as harsh as you thought. There will be some kind of silver lining here. The court case could involve a former spouse, a former business partner, or an old boss or former employer. Lastly, you could receive money that you've been expecting, and this will be something related to the 8th house, such as alimony, child support, and inheritance, money from a will. It could be money that you're expecting from a former spouse, former business partner, or former employer. In terms of the timeline of this, look back to January 2021 when we had a new moon in Capricorn, or even the 26th of December 2019 when we had a new moon in Capricorn, very close to the degree of this full moon. So Leo, that's all I have for you for June 2021. If you enjoyed this horoscope, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content from me at CAISTROLOGY, please subscribe to my channel. Enjoy the month ahead, and I will see you guys next month.